Museum. This is the Captain Howard Miller collection. Captain Miller was in the Army Air Force in World War II. Him and his wife assembled this collection. The collection actually consists of 70 flags. This is 60 of them. What are missing is the 10 French flags that were here during our revolution. But due to their age, they've become very fragile. So I don't bring the French flags out anymore. The flags were going to be destroyed by fire because nobody wanted the collection when he got to the age where he could no longer handle setting them up and giving the talk. And luckily he was working with a member of our chapter, and they made a deal, and the deal is that they donated the flags to my chapter. This is the Cincinnati chapter. And as long as we show them once a year, we're allowed to keep them. The value of the flags, if you want a duplicated collection, is roughly $50,000. They're all custom made except for the last few. Any early flags are valued in complete form, and say for the Revolutionary War, you're looking at $1 million each. So we'll start. The first two flags are the British flags. First one is the British Union Jack. And the next one is what is called the Red Meteor. We'll see this flag again when we use it as our American flag. This was used by all their ships. The next one is called the Bedford flag. It was actually a leftover flag for the French and Indian War. And the militia from Bedford brought it to Concord at the bridge. When the shot heard around the world was fired, that was the flag that was on the American side of the bridge. The original flag is still in existence. It's in the Library Museum in Bedford, Massachusetts. The next two flags are known as the Continental Bunker Hill flags. This one has the flag, or the, can't talk today, it has the cross of St. George on it. And it also has a pine tree. I love folklore more than history. Folklore says that the reason we had a pine tree on there was because of the pine tree shelling, which was the common courtesy during the Revolutionary War here. The next one is known as the Ethan Allen Green Mountain Boys. It's in subdued colors. These subdued colors, everybody could recognize if you were on that side. The British would have a lot of problems trying to spot that flag. They fought in mainly wooded areas, and it would blend. Now you got to remember at this time we had no hello, how are you? The only way you could was either a runner, a drum, or a flag to rally the troops or to signal. This one here is from the 1st Regiment of the Rhode Island Militia. Today, the Rhode Island flag still has the anchor on it. Again, this is a militia flag. The next one is one flag that my ancestor fought under. It is from Pennsylvania. If you notice the words on the bottom, you can read the letters. You can't read the top because it's backwards. If you bring it the other way, you can read the top and not the bottom. The original flag is actually made that way. And what it says on the top is Pennsylvania Militia 1st Regiment. The bottom in Latin it says, I refuse to be dominated. The next one is the Moultrie flag. That's from Fort Moultrie. That's at the beginning of Charleston Harbor. And again, according to folklore, a British cannonball from one of their ships broke the flagstaff and the flag went down. When it was resurrected, it had Liberty written on it. Now these flags have all been researched, and if it couldn't be proven one way or the other, it's not here. So that's the original flag. There are many that say the Liberty was on the bottom. There are others that say the Liberty was on the crescent moon. So thus we have the first one, not one that went up after the flag went down. This one is known as the flag of the Grand Union. If you notice, it is the red meteor flag that you saw earlier with white stripes in it. It's our first flag that was striped. This is the first Navy Jack. Don't tread on me. It has a rattlesnake. Of course, the rattlesnake, as long as you don't step on it, it's not going to strike. We were trying to say the same thing. It was not real popular with a lot of admirals and captains of ships, of course, because they said, how many times have you seen a rattlesnake at sea? The rattlesnakes were used quite a bit since they're indigenous to North America in a lot of propaganda that we used during the Revolutionary War. This is known as the Washington cruiser flag. George and Martha sent money down to the Bahamas and bought 6 cruisers, and they sailed back to the United States under this flag. Now, somewhere along in this time period, the Continental Congress, like our Congress today, put out a general order, and it said that our flag should be red, white, and blue, with white stars to represent a new constellation. There was no drawings, no instructions of any kind other than those words. Now, if you can imagine the people in this room, if you have never seen what our flag looks like, and everybody went in their own direction with a piece of paper, some markers, and you said, I want a red, white, and blue flag with stars to represent a new constellation. This is what you're going to end up with. Of course, on this particular flag, they forgot about the stars. The next one is not by Beached Out. This is also known as the Sons of Liberty flag, because it was used by the Sons of Liberty. Now, what's important about these flags at this time is that if you did not fly a national flag or what would look like a national flag on a ship at sea, it was considered you were one of 2 things. You were either a pirate or a privateer. And those who studied the American Revolution know the privateers did quite a bit of damage to the British shipping in our behalf. This particular flag was made over in Holland so that the ship could sail from Holland back to the United States. Now, at that time, also, stars should have 6 or more points. 5 points or less was considered a spur. No self-respecting country would have a spur. They would have to have, if you're going to have a star, you would have 6 or more. And what we're going to see is samples of the various flags. Most of them were made for the shipping industry or merchant fleets. The next one, Ryan. Now, this particular one is very much European influence. This is known as the Bennington flag. It's from Fort Bennington. That was start. And it starts out though with a white stripe instead of red. And it was flying on a clear day. It made our flag look smaller. So that's one of the reasons why we start with a red stripe. There is up in Ohio a General Stark, a county named after him, and that particular plot of land is what he was given as part of his pay for his time in the Revolutionary War. Here's where we have red, white, and blue stripes. We have multi-pointed stars. The next one, there's another one. Now, this particular one was made overseas, and And that's why they started out with a white stripe, because flags were not made by someone who makes flags. They were either made by a sailmaker or a tent maker. This one was probably on a ship we captured, and that's the British Red Comet, and all we did was put white and blue stripes on it so that we have an American flag. This is the Maryland Militia flag. It's close to what we're going to have as a national flag. It was very, very popular in Maryland, but the other states didn't care for it, because it seemed like the one in the middle, that was Maryland. And of course, the people down south, they really got it mixed up. This is from Gulford's Courthouse, Carolinas. They switched the blue and the white, and of course we have red and blue. Now, if you notice on the bottom of that flag there, where there is more material, this is one of the flags that was actually modified. Captain Miller was very particular that these flags were accurate. A lot of them are made from paintings, but when he would find out that he had a flag made and it was incorrect, if he could not modify it, it was destroyed. Now this flag is known as the Yorktown Surrender Flag. This is the one that George Washington and troops marched to Yorktown under. And throughout the siege, this is the flag they flew. If you notice up there, the second one in on the right is a little out of place. The original flag was also that way. Why is lost in history. This is the Fort Henry flag. That's in Maryland. Pretty neat flag, but we're still not the national flag. We're still in battle flags. The next three flags were originally flags for our commander-in-chief, which was George Washington. This is the first one. And of course, you know, he had to have 9 pointed stars in his flag. Then he went to his second one. Now, George Washington liked the circle. And the third one, which is also known as the Gadsden flag, is also used by the Tea Party today. But it was used to mark where the commander-in-chief was when he was in the field.
Wow.
It was also used by the Navy on certain ships. Now this is the first national flags. All the flags that you saw except for the first two are what's called national battle flags. This is the first national flag. It's known as the Betsy Ross flag. The circle is George Washington's idea. That way nobody's first and nobody's last. Also 5 pointed stars. Betsy Ross said that if you, hold a second there. You take full material now. What you can do is when you get home, you look it up on the internet. You can fold a piece of paper or a piece of material and you make one cut. The theory being that he wanted a lot of flags in a hurry, which is much faster than cutting out around. Plus, due to the blockades, textiles were in demand. I mean, we didn't have the Continental jacket like he's wearing until 78 or 79. The war started in 75. Okay, the flag. No, you're getting ahead of me. Go back one. Back one. Thank you. This is the Star Spangled Banner. We now have 15 states in the Union. And we also have 15 stripes. It's our only flag that was made that has 15 stars and stripes. That's from the War of 1812. This is also the War of 1812. This is Commodore Perry's flag. Okay, the next one is known as the Flag Act of 1818, at which time Congress said from now on we are not going to keep adding stripes. As you can imagine today, if we had 50 stripes on our flag, our flag won't be awfully tall, or it would surely be really tight stripes. So that's the way that flag ended up. This one here is known as the Fremont, or the Adventurer flag. Supposedly this flag was carried by the Lewis and Clark when they went up and did the discovery. You notice that the eagle under him is a peace pipe in his talons. If you look real close, you'll see that there's eagles, arrows up against his chest, which means we came in peace, but we will fight. This is the flag from the Alamo. It is a Mexican flag. If you know what the Mexican flag looks like, it has a crest in the middle. And what they did was cut the crest out, put in 1824. Again, like I said earlier, even at that time, signaling was with the flag. Whether you're moving forward or reverse, you followed that flag. This is where we were starting to add more, and I got rid of the book because I can never remember the amount of stars we added at a time. Now the stars are only added on July 4th. So no matter when you're actually signed as a state into the Union, you have to wait until the July 4th for your star to be added. This particular flag has 28 stars and of course the 13 stripes. The next one is a 33 star. Now at this time, the Continental Congress said about the 13 stripes, the blue field, the white stars, the 5-pointed. But they didn't say how they should be arranged. At this time, the flags were probably still being made by sailmakers and tent makers. So this is 5-pointed stars made to look like these 6-pointed stars. The next one, this one is known as the Fort Sumter flag. The first shots of the Civil War were fired on Captain Anderson at Fort Sumter, and this is the flag that he was flying. The next one is a 34-star flag. This is after Kansas joined the Union. This is known as the Lincoln flag. Just like General Washington's flag, this is the flag that flew whenever Abraham Lincoln was in the field. The original of this flag is owned by the Cincinnati Public Library. I do not know if it's still being shown or not, but it is in the public library downtown Cincinnati. The next one is Civil War period, 34-star. The next one is what's called a regimental flag. You know, it has the gold fringe. It also has gold stars. This particular one was for the 5th Ohio Volunteer Infantry, which was formed by the Caledonian Society in Cincinnati, Ohio. This next one is a guideline. Contrary to what you see in the movies, when the cavalry rode into battle or just rode, or even the troops were marching, they didn't carry a 3x5 flag, they carried what's called a guideline. And this is that's what they were. The next one is the first national flag of the Confederacy. They had 3 flags. Some who studied the Confederacy may say, well, there was the Bonnie Blue. The Bonnie Blue was not a national flag, that was a regimental flag. This next one is the second flag, national flag of the Confederacy. If you notice, it has a lot of white, and then a calm day, it looked like they were surrendering. So what they did to solve this problem is they took and cut the end of the flag off and put a red stripe on the end.
The next one is their battle flag. Again, unlike what you see in the movies, this is what they carried in the battle. They did, according to the cavalry, would carry a 30-inch one, the artillery 36, and the infantry a 48-inch. The next one is the Confederate Navy Jack. It's not their national flag, as most people think. It was only used on their ships. It was not used by the Army itself at any time. The next one is from the Indian Wars. We now have 38 states. And the next one is Spanish-American War, where we have 48 stars. And this flag is our second longest running flag. It was from the Mexican border incident all the way through World War I to Korea. In other words, it was from 1912 until 1959. The next three flags are what's called personal flags of the military. This is a 5-star general of the Army. The next one is a 3-star Vice Admiral of the Navy. And the final one is the personal flag of Brigadier General of the United States Air Force. Now this is the United States Navy Jack. It has the 50 stars on it. The origin of the Jack was flown on the front of the ships. The reason that was is so you could tell really what direction that ship was sailing. Because you didn't want to be coming up on a ship and you'd fire at it and here it was going in the opposite direction and you missed and you'd have to reload. The next one is a 1-year flag. It's the 49 star. That is when in July the 4th, 1959, when Alaska joined the Union. This is our longest running flag. That's the 50-star flag that we have today. It was started use on July the 4th, 1960, when Hawaii joined the Union. The next one is an MIA flag, BOW. Don, who was the earlier speaker, he was actually, I think, worked for an entire year in Vietnam trying to find some of our BOWs or MIAs. So he tells an interesting story, and I'm sorry you all are missing it. The last flags are the 5 services. And they are in the order in which they were formed. The United States Army, United States Marines, skip one, United States Navy, and then in 1948, oh, there's the Navy. I'm sorry, go back one. That's the Navy, go back one. That's the United States Air Force that came into existence in 1948.
Air Force.
The Air Force. And the final one is the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard, of course, is an awful from what used to be the Revenue Service. In time of war, they fall underneath the Navy pretty much. And that concludes my presentation. If anybody have any questions, try to answer them. All right, thank you all. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you said one of these flags was the longest we've used from 1919 to, what was it?
19.
We didn't have any states that joined from 1919 to 1959?
No,
Okay.
no, 1912.
1912.
1912 is when Arizona joined,
Uh-huh,
and there was no more states added until
Alaska and Hawaii.
Alaska and Hawaii, right?
Okay.
And actually, Alaska came in March, I think, March or April of 59. So they got their star right away.
Right.
In August of 1959 is when Hawaii became a state.
And they had to wait.
But
till
they had to wait all
July.
the way till July 4th.
Okay.
How many of these flags are originals? Any?
Just the, well, the service flags are, and these flags from here to here.
Okay.
Okay.
Amazing.
Originally, the collection had 3 foreign flags in it. And they were, and of course, Mr. Miller died before I could ask him, and nobody else thought of it before. But what it had in it was a royal flag of France. It had the flag of the Netherlands and the flag of Sweden.
Huh.
And it did not have a 49, a 50, or a POW/MIA flag. So what I did was I took those 3 flags out and put those 3 flags in. Because I figured that was a lot more appropriate.
Yes.
In fact, I used to have a bicentennial flag, but I had a lot of people ask, well, why don't you have a POW/MIA? And I went, no, I don't know. So we went and got one. Any other, yes, ma'am, sir.
How many flags are all together?
Here are 60 flags, and the entire collection consists of 70 flags. What is missing is the national flag of the 1700s from France, Rochambeau's flag, and the 8 French regiments that came here and fought. Now, those regimental flags are really fancy, and they're just very frail, because this flag collection was started back in the 50s.
How often do you take it out to display it?
Well, my predecessor got them out once a week, or once a year, and they smelled musty. And after about 6 months of having them spread out in my garage at home, they now get out of the box at least once a month, and sometimes twice.
But you show them once a year.
Oh, no.
No.
No, we show them, I guess, how many, 18 times a year? About right.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right before this show, they were at Cleveland, right? We had them in Cleveland. They've been as far north as Cleveland. They've been far into West Virginia, Indiana, and Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
I used to advertise when I was about 5 years younger, have flags will travel.
Have flags will travel. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.